Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 4 of my How to Play Warhammer 40k series. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be taking you through the movement phase. We're really getting going now, as we've already covered the introduction and key concepts, we've gone through the data sheets, and we've looked at the battle round and command phase. But now it's time to move up to the movement phase, so let's get started with part 4 of this How to Play Warhammer 40k series. The movement phase is split up into 2 steps. First, we've got to move our units. Then we can set up our reinforcements that have not yet arrived. So let's get started and look at step 1, where we move our units. Start your movement phase by selecting one unit from your army to move. That unit can then either make a normal move, it can advance, or it can remain stationary. We'll go through these in more detail as we work through this video. If a unit is within engagement range of any enemy models when it's selected to move, and we covered engagement range in part 1 of the series, then it cannot make a normal move or advance, but it can choose to remain stationary or choose to fall back. When you move a unit, you can move any of its models, and whenever you move a model, you can pivot it and or change its position on the battlefield along any path. But no part of that model's base or hull if it's a vehicle can be moved across the bases or hulls of other models, nor can any part of that model, including its base, cross the edge of the battlefield. The distance a model moves is measured using the part of the model's base or hull that moves furthest along its path. Also remember that a unit must finish any type of move in unit coherency that we also covered in the first video of this series. Let's go through those different move actions now. So starting with a normal move, models move up to their M characteristic, and they cannot move within engagement range of enemy models. Let's look at advancing next, and when a unit makes an advance, you make an advance roll for the unit by rolling 1d6 and then add the result in inches to the move characteristics of each model in that unit. Just with a normal move, you cannot move within engagement range of enemy models, and units that advance cannot shoot or charge this turn. We'll be covered charging later on in another video. If you choose to remain stationary, then it's really simple. If a unit remains stationary, none of its models can be moved for the rest of the phase. And finally, let's look at falling back. And when a unit falls back, each model in that unit can move a distance in inches equal to or less than their move characteristic. Units that fall back cannot charge this turn, and units that fall back cannot shoot or manifest psychic powers this turn unless they have the Titanic keyword. That covers step 1 of the movement phase, so now we know how to move our units. Let's move on and look at step 2, reinforcements. A reinforcement unit is a unit that starts the battle in a location other than the battlefield. You set up your reinforcement units one at a time, as described by the rules that let them start the battle in locations other than that battlefield. Reinforcement units cannot make a normal move, an advance, fall back, or remain stationary this turn. Reinforcement units always count as having moved this turn, and any reinforcement unit not set up on the battlefield by the end of the battle counts as being destroyed. That now covers moving units and reinforcements, but I think it would be good to go over just a few advanced rules that you could still use in your basic games of Warhammer 40,000. The first of these advanced rules is moving over terrain, and models can move freely over terrain features 1 inch or less in height. but models cannot move through taller terrain features, but they can climb up and down them. When moving up or down, just count that as part of its move, but remember that a model cannot finish any kind of move mid-climb. Some units have the fly keyword, and then when it makes a normal move, an advance, or it falls back, its models can be moved across other models and their bases as if they were not there, and they can be moved within engagement range of enemy models too. Any vertical distance up or down that they make as part of that move is ignored. But just be aware that the models cannot finish their move either on top of another model or its base, or within engagement range of any enemy models. Let's look at transports next, and there's quite a few rules to go through for this. Some models have the transport keyword. All transport models will have a capacity listed on their datasheet. It'll tell you how many friendly models they can have and what type of models can be taken on board. Units can start the battle embarked within a transport instead of being set up separately. All you need to do is declare what units are embarked within a transport model before you set up. Let's look at embarking now, and if a unit makes a normal move, an advance, or it falls back, and every model in that unit ends the move within 3 inches of a friendly transport model, they can then embark within it. A unit cannot embark with a transport that is within engagement range of any enemy models, and they cannot embark and disembark in the same phase. Units cannot do anything or be affected in any way while they are embarked within a transport. Let's look at how to disembark now, and units that start their movement phase embarked in a transport can choose to disembark this phase. A unit must disembark before their transport moves though. Disembarking units must be set up wholly within 3 inches of their transport and not within engagement range of any enemy models. And note that units that have disembarked count as having moved this turn. Let's look at what happens when a transport is destroyed. If a transport is destroyed, resolve its explodes ability if it has one. Then any units embarked within that model must then disembark. Roll 1d6 for each model that disembarked. For every 1 you roll, 1 model is destroyed. Units that disembarked cannot charge or even perform heroic interventions for this turn. That covers transports, but some models may also have the aircraft keyword. So let's take a look at aircraft rules. Aircraft models will typically have a move characteristic of 2 values. The first will be the minimum move characteristic, and then the second will be the maximum move characteristic. The aircraft models must move at least their minimum movement characteristic, and if a model cannot make its minimum move, it is destroyed unless you are using strategic reserves. Aircraft will have an engagement range like any other model, but there's going to be a few extra rules and exceptions to apply to it. Because aircraft are flying, models can move within an enemy aircraft's engagement range, and models can move over aircraft and their bases when they make any kind of move. Aircraft can make a normal move or an advance even when within engagement range of enemy models. That now covers the movement phase, where we've looked at moving units, reinforcement, all different types of transport, and aircraft too. So now it's time to join me in part 5, where we'll look at the psychic phase. I hope you enjoyed part 4 and I hope it was helpful. We had quite a lot to go through there for the movement. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the next parts of this series. I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone that's helped make this series possible, and so thanks to everyone who's either provided a product or sponsored this video series. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. I'll put links in the description below to everyone who's contributed to the series, and I'd love it if you went and checked out their websites and supported their work. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.